Hello and welcome back. We're back with Dungeon Crawler Carl number 4. And if you read the third one, which I'm assuming you did since you're here, if you read the third one and you want a sneak peek or you just want to know, is the fourth one going to be as crazy and just insane as the third one? Because we all know the third one with the trains and the routes, it's just like, all right, I gotta check out and just go with the flow here. Is this one better? Does it get back to more of the simple fun we loved in the first two? Yes and no. Yes, I first of all, this one's pretty long. It's almost 600 pages long. It could have been two books because there's something that they're trying to achieve in the first half, which is really fun and it's nice and it feels like the first two books, but then the second half feels like he tries to cram a whole lot in the last 150 pages. So there's good and there's bad here. I still ended this one thinking I'm going to take a break from Dungeon Crawler Carl because as we see, you see the other books over there. These books are getting bigger and bigger. And I was recently at a bookstore checking out the fifth and sixth ones, and they're bigger, and it's getting to be a bit too much. And I really had to force myself, which I haven't had to do with any of the books yet, force myself to finish this book yesterday. I literally laid around the house for 4 hours because I'm just like, I just want to get this over with, which is terrible to say about a series I love so much. Um, if you haven't read it, and I'm not going to talk spoilers, but the layout is basically, think of like a volcano, and you have the sky above the volcano, you have the water around the volcano, the land around the volcano, and then you have the bull inside the crater of the volcano. And what they have to do is there's a castle in each of these quadrants, the sky, land, sea, and they have to defeat the castle. And you can't go to the other quadrant to help the other crawlers until you defeat the castle that you show up in. So theirs is the air. They've got this flying fortress up above them, and they have to figure out how do we get up there, and how do we what's up there. Eventually, they start to learn that there's a connection between the town they're in, the people, and what's going on up in the fortress. Um, yeah, so that part's pretty good. Learning about all that and doing that. It's just that once they get their first main big mission over with, quest or whatever, it seems to just be a roller coaster downhill of zooming through a whole bunch of stuff too quickly. And that's my main complaint. Another thing is it's starting to get a bit of wonky and what's the word I'm looking for? It's just too much with what Carl can do, what he can build. We get long descriptions of him building like a dune buggy, and you're just going through. It's like, okay, I don't need to know all the ins and outs, the inner workings of how he's going to put this dune buggy together. I can think of a dune buggy in my head and just build it and give us a rough idea of what it looks like. But he goes into these long descriptions of this, and I want to say there's something else I can't quite think of. But some of that's getting a little tiresome because no matter what, it just seems like Carl's going to be able to build and make whatever he wants. You know, there's trial and error. Maybe he makes something and it doesn't quite go right. He's like, oh, well, let me just tweak this, and then boop, it's perfect. So that's another thing too. It's just some of the fights too. We're getting timed battles, and he just pulls things out at the last minute, almost randomly. Not like he's been building towards something the entire fight, but it's just like, I'm totally lost. I'm totally screwed. 10, 9, 8. Wait a minute. I remember hearing this one thing from the first level when this person said this, and then I have this in my inventory, and if I combine that knowledge with this thing, 3, 2, boop, winner! And you're like, really? I mean, just like that. Yeah. So it makes some of the battles and stuff seem cheap that he just totally lost. And then with seconds to go, something pops into his head where he's just like, oh, and then poof, magically wins. You're like, okay, all right. Yeah. So I guess that's where I'll leave it. We're going to go on and talk about spoilers. So if you have not read it, if you loved the third one, if you still loved it, go ahead, read this one. There's a lot of good stuff in here. It's just a bit too much. He could have trimmed this up a lot more, or removed some things to put in another book. If you were iffy and you're thinking, okay, maybe this series is going in a weird direction, hey, maybe take a break. Don't jump into this one. Like the fifth one, I'm not going to jump into the fifth one anytime soon, probably months. I just need a break from it's information overload, really. Like all the stuff he has in his inventory. And I used to have the excuse that, well, Carl's there living it, right? When he has downtime, he's scrolling through his menus, he's thinking about this item and this item and this item. And you're like, okay, but in these heat of the moments, he just pulls stuff out. You're like, how did you even remember that? And I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need a break from it. So yeah, we're gonna go into spoilers. If you have not read it, stop here. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We're gonna do spoilers. So let's do spoilers. Let me see what I have written down here. I did like the beginning with the fortress and the gnomes, and that these towns had something they're keeping inside whatever they called those buildings. That's why the gnomes were bombing them. And so, okay, that's kind of interesting. We have to go infiltrate and find out what they have. And then we go down and we learn Win, the great and favored uncle of Commandant Kane. We go down, we find him, and he gets killed by that other group. And then we learn about that ghost thing, which the whole book, I have no idea what that ghost thing was that started with a Q, the Quetzalcoatl something. No idea what that is. And I thought, okay, maybe we're going to do something with that. And did we? We didn't, right? We got a little more information with that head, the sex doll, Samantha head thing. But let's go back to the gnomes. I loved when they first went up and they're in the balloon and that whole fight scene and with what was it, Ruckus, the boss battle. I love that. That was so much fun. I wish it would have gone on a little longer. That one seemed to go by pretty quick. Because Carl builds those rockets and he shoots the one and what stage 2 doesn't quite work, and he lets off the train of F words, the variation of F words. That was pretty fun. What else we got here? Oh, the AI throwing the tantrum. We get that seems to be a thing for a little bit about how Carl's making the AI mad, but then that seems to go away. And then it just moves on. Oh, Chris shows up as the rock dude with Maggie in his brain, which we come back to later. I love it? It was interesting how they got up to the fortress and they show up and it's just that little girl who's like selling lemonade and there's something off with her. What's his face is dead. Kane is dead. So you get up there and you're just like, okay, what in the world happened? And then the boss, Denise the Goose, which had a hilarious description of her. Boss battle. And here's what I'm talking about things just going his way or information popping in his head or whatever. He's fighting him. He thinks he has to drink the lemonade. So he's trying to get the goose away from the lemonade, run upstairs, get the whole bloop lemonade. And I guess in the description, I'd have to look. It said it was an environmental, and somehow he knew that environmentals had to be hurt by something within their own environment. Because when he threw the mug at it and da-da-da-da, and that's one of those things where it's like, I don't remember this at all. It must have been just like a pass-by thing at some point. And that's where it's like the fact that Carl pulled that out of his butt. It's like, oh, environmental means this. 3, 2 is literally like, what, 2 seconds left. Shove the bill down the garbage disposal and kill it. You're like, okay. If you say so, book. All right, I'll go with that. Then we get the stuff with the cat toy. And this is another example of the long, convoluted planning stuff that seems you could follow this one along, but you're just like, really? Really? The thing with the cat toy, and they keep getting the new versions of it, the new and improved generation. That long, drawn-out plan where he has that rainbow smoke bomb blows up. It's going to get in the battery cover. Because I noticed it was cheap, and I knew if I did this, the reaction with the smoke bomb and the particles would loosen it up more, and then I'm going to break off my fingernail in there because I knew at the right moment the cat toy would jump off the thing, off the couch, and follow what's-her-face, and you're just like, really? That is so convoluted, and everything had to go just right. It was one of those things you're just like, okay. I know it's a book of ridiculousness, but that one was, come on. And that kills up or blows up Loida or whatever her name was. Then we get to that sand castle, the glass thing, which, where was that? Was that underground? I have no idea where that thing was. We go there so fast with the electricity and the cable out to the spinning wheel, then we go inside and we find that the statue, they break the statue, and then they find the guy and he says, oh, that's my lover, and da, 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 and then we get washed out, and on the sand is the ooze, and then we get thrown out, and then we're all underwater. What was all that? I was so confused. I'm trying to find what's the purpose of being in here. Any of this knowledge are we supposed to be retaining with this backstory of these NPCs? It's somehow related to the Q ghost thing about how half its body's here or half its spirit's here. I don't know. You lost me on that one, Matt. But anyway, they go down, and then here's another cool part: the going down with the submarine. That was cool. And they find out that Henrik had gone down there in those not the Sharktopus, but the Octoshark. And man, he threw in that name. Was it Nadia Suleiman, the Octomom from? I was like, I have not even thought of that lady for how many years. He just pulls that out and sticks it in the book. You're like, okay, all right, I'll give you that one. But that was really cool. You have this giant Octoshark with all these little baby ones, and then they get the feeding frenzy. And then here's another thing, another boss battle that just boop, things go right. That darn protective shell, which is, we should just call it the get out of jail free shell, pops that off. It just happens to rip the shark's head off. And then all that went along with that. Again, I'm trying to follow. It's like, okay, it's going back down, and then it ripped off its. Okay. There's too much of that. Whereas the first books, you can follow along with what's going on. I think it's just getting to the point. There's too many items. The scenarios are a little hard to visualize, of like which way the shark was moving and which way they were going in the shark. I don't know. But there's so much of that. You just read it and you're like, okay, if you say so. If you say so, Carl. If you say so, Mr. Dinneman. And then it doesn't stop. We get another new thing. We get that, like Emberus, that giant god he's walking around. And then his dog who's getting nipped. And we got to reunite the dog with the god. And they have him the dog following the plane. And then that was a big like FU moment when they come over. It's like, it's a new quest. Whoever can kill the dog gets all this. And you're just like, I had the same reaction Carl was like, you have got to be kidding me. Because then we get that Quan guy who comes back, which I had totally forgotten about. And I know it's supposed to be a big reveal in the book, and they're like, Quan. And I'm like, who? I don't remember Quan. I barely remember Chris and Maggie. When they say Maggie, I'm like, okay, that's Frank's wife, right? Right? Quan! Who is that? I don't know. Okay, well, here comes this Quan guy. So we get the fire god, and then he decides, oh, well, I'm just going to switch religions. I guess Matt thought that we'd done enough with Grull. We summoned him. Let's change religions. How about Emberus? We'll give him that one, and because it just fits the plot right here. So, anywho, he like summons him right to where he is. He reunites with the dog. Fights Quan, rips off his arm. Again, doesn't really mean much because I don't remember Quan. Then, when that's done, we get that other god who Samantha knows, I'm going to kill you. And then he just magically gets a gift box where you can chuck this head like 50 kilometers. Some other god comes through the portal and rips the thing into two. I guess that's over. Then we get Chris who shows back up. He's been like hiding somewhere, camouflage. And they have that magical yam potion where he can go through rock and lava, pull her out. He drinks the other potion. She shoots out his neck. And this is all within what? 50 pages? Finishing off the Octoshark, Emberus and the dog, fighting Quan, the head with Samantha, throwing her out there, and then Chris and Maggie. The end of the book is just... You're like, come on, dude. For me, it was just like I couldn't care about any of this. Like, I think that everything on its own could be interesting if you gave it more time. Even the silly thing with the dog and the god, the Samantha stuff, I just felt it was so rushed. So rushed. And then we get the stuff with Odette and B at the end. Who knows where that's going to go? And it won't be me, who knows? Because, like I said, I'm going to put this series down on the back burner, maybe even farther back. This was a bit much. After the third one and after this one, makes my head hurt thinking about it. It was still a lot of fun. The back and forth between Donut and Carl, hilarious. I do like the Seinfeld reference. The some achievement was called "I was in the pool," and Donut made a reference. He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah. It's just like when Carl watches those videos on his computer, and then he gets a virus." So it's fun. It does not need to be this complicated. Does not. Kudos to any of you out there who just follow this along perfectly and don't ever get lost. Holy cow. That's where I'm going to leave it. If you've read more than just this one, the fourth one, comment down below. Let me know. Is the fifth one insane? Are they just getting worse and worse as far as complexity and not being able to follow or keep up, where you just have to basically just look at it and say, okay, whatever you say, book, which isn't as fun as when you actually can understand and follow what's going on instead of just having to believe what you are told. So comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this one. If you read the next ones, let me know how those are without spoiling anything. Next up, I'm not sure. Oh, I'm reading The Wager. It's a tale about an old shipwreck, mutiny, cannibalism. So that one should be coming up in a little bit. And of course, a lot more to come. See what I feel like reading. Let me know what you're reading, and I will catch you next time. See ya.